Thank you so much for joining me for this breaking news special edition of the Daily Update. It's great to be with you. We're going to cover what could be the story of the year, and it's something that really nobody was prepared for. You know, it's one of those things that when we saw it coming, we didn't think that it would actually develop into what we're seeing now. And if you are new here, I'm going to encourage you to subscribe. Now, nobody was prepared for it. We've seen records being broken from Texas up to Minnesota. There's some places where it's so hot outside it feels like you're inside of a furnace. You literally can walk outside and within 10 seconds you feel like you're getting cooked. Pets are having a difficult time. Farm animals are suffering. The heat index in Houston, Texas reached 120 degrees Fahrenheit. That is the highest reading ever recorded by a weather station. Here's a live look at the thermometer in downtown Dallas. Can you see that? Look at how high that is. Right now it is 105 degrees Fahrenheit in Dallas. There are several things that you want to watch out for. They don't have a way to stay cool. And so we're going to talk about how you can help in just a minute, okay? And this takes us all the way through July, but look at that high-pressure system sitting over the central part of the country. It's like a giant dome of heat. And here's the jet stream, okay? And notice how the jet stream is dipping down across the northern part of the country. So all of that cooler air is being pulled down and then pushed to the east. That's 70 to 100% chance of above normal temperatures. And then even out to the west coast, we're going to be experiencing temperatures that are well above normal. Now, the only exception might be up in the Pacific Northwest, maybe in the northern part of California, into Oregon, Washington, Idaho, Montana. There is a chance that we might get a little bit of relief from some rain and cooler temperatures up there. There are millions of people across the country who do not have air conditioning, who don't have a way to stay cool during this type of weather. If you live in a major city, I would say there is a good chance that there is a homeless person sleeping somewhere outside near where you live. So if you can donate some water, maybe some sports drinks, maybe some cooling towels, you can buy those at Walmart for less than $5. Those are going to be very helpful. Also, maybe some sunscreen, hats, things like that. Even just a few dollars that you can give someone who's panhandling, that is going to help them get a bottle of water or something that they need to stay cool. So however you can help, try to find ways that you can reach out and help those who are suffering during this extreme heat wave. But that's about it. Everywhere else will be well above normal. Never, never, never link your self-worth to the government's worth. And God bless you. Be sure to check out this important video. Have a great rest of your day. But then that warm air, it's coming up and pushing to the west. Well, it means that we need to be prepared for some power outages. Your air conditioner might go out, so you want to make sure that you have a plan in place. Maybe you have a generator. Maybe you have a way to stay somewhere else. Maybe you have a friend or a neighbor that you can go to if you do want to have air conditioning. But just make sure that you have a plan in place, because when your air conditioner goes out during this type of weather, it can be life-threatening. So we're going to continue to see these high temperatures at least through the next week. It might be just a little bit warmer than normal, but still, we're going to see more thunderstorms and severe weather up here. Construction workers, landscapers, farmers, people who work in agriculture, make sure that you're taking breaks, drinking a lot of water. If you see signs of heat stroke in yourself or in someone that you're working with, get them out of the heat immediately. Call 911. Don't hesitate. Time is of the essence. And sometimes those thunderstorms can knock out power lines and cause rolling blackouts. So even up in the northern part of the country, you want to make sure that you're taking steps to prepare for possible power outages. But first I want to show you the forecast and what the models are showing. It's just going to be a couple of days where we might get some cooler temperatures. But overall, the pattern does not change. Very high pressure system sitting over the central part of the country. We'll get a little bit of a break, like I said, right around July. But then after that, more high temperatures, and then finally, right around July 16th, we might get a break. Okay, we might get some cooler temperatures, but it doesn't look significant. It looks like it's just a few degrees below average. But that might be enough to allow our bodies to recover a little bit. It stays very warm and very hot across a large portion of the central and the eastern part of the country. Of course, heat stroke is one of the big ones. Dehydration. Obviously, you want to make sure that you're drinking a lot of water. But I want to show you something else that's happening across the country. And this is on a map. Now, this shows us the Climate Prediction Center outlook for the next 14 days. And you can see that large area that's in the dark red. That means that there's a 90 to 100% chance of above normal temperatures. And that includes a large chunk of the central US and the eastern US, the southeast, the northeast. All of these areas will be experiencing temperatures that are much above normal. And then also make sure that you're checking on your elderly neighbors, checking on your children, making sure that they're staying cool. If you have pets outside, bring them inside. Just use a little bit of common sense during these times. Now, this video that you're looking at is from just yesterday, but that temperature, it's still hovering around 105 degrees Fahrenheit today. Now, to put this into perspective, the previous record was 119 degrees Fahrenheit. And now we're talking about a heat index that is more than 1 degree higher than anything that has ever been recorded in history at this particular location. I mean, we're dealing with some really extreme heat right now. Now, this little girl here, she suffered heat stroke in these high temperatures. And it's really important that parents understand what to look for if you see these signs. The little girl's mother said that she started vomiting after they had been outside playing in the heat. And then once they got inside, they noticed that she started to fall to the floor, and then she stopped responding to them. And so this is something that can happen very quickly, especially when you have children or elderly people who are outside in these high temperatures. And Wisconsin, down into the deep south, Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana, Arkansas, even up into Canada, we're also dealing with humidity, especially across the eastern part of the country. And when you combine these two things together, it is not safe to be outside for very long. In fact, the CDC has issued an excessive heat warning that's covering about 68 million Americans. That's roughly 1 out of every 5 Americans living under an excessive heat warning. Temperatures reached 110 degrees Fahrenheit, which is more than 43 Celsius. In fact, on July 97, daily high temperature records were broken across the United States. This is according to the National Weather Service. That's almost one record being broken every 20 minutes. Can you believe that? And many of these records have stood for over 50 years. It's not going to cost you anything, but we do ask that you take just a moment to join us and help our mission to get the truth out. We really appreciate it. We were talking about this back in March, how things were changing in the Arctic, but at that time, it was just starting. And now it has morphed into something that is pretty serious. And there is not a lot of people reporting on it because it is kind of flying under the radar, so I wanted to bring it to your attention. Alright, let's dive right into this silent crisis that's happening across the United States. It's really hard to describe the conditions that are happening right now across the country. Here's the crazy thing. It's not just the temperature. Now, it's not just humans that are suffering in these temperatures. In Galveston, Texas, the temperature reached 108 degrees Fahrenheit. That's the highest temperature in the last 100 years, according to the National Weather Service. Now, Dallas, Texas is another place where the heat wave has been intense. This is the type of weather that really tests your body. And sometimes it can push your body past its limit. But the sad thing is some people don't have air conditioning. Okay, so let's start off with the GFS model. And then once we get into the middle part of July, we might get a little bit of a break. But it's going to be brief. Now, what about the European model? Okay, well, it's pretty similar. So overall, we're going to be dealing with this heat wave for quite some time. And then once we get out a little further, you see that large area that's in the light red. And so this is the setup that we're dealing with. And basically, it's not going to change anytime soon. What does this mean? Now, if you're in the northern part of the country, you might not be suffering as much. This type of weather is also dangerous for people who have to work outside. And then, of course, think about the poor people, the homeless population. Before you go, I want to remind you that you are amazing.